Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Ben Thomas, President of UST Training. We provide a series of monthly webinars that we offer to our community out here of UST operators, inspectors, service techs, and we also do online Class A, B, and C UST operator training. And today I'm very excited to have Bill Gockman with Franklin Electric Fueling Systems, who's going to be presenting information about the EVO series. As many of you know, EVO is a great tank monitor that's out there. It helps underground storage tank operators manage UST systems for operational purposes and compliance. I'm broadcasting here from Whidbey Island, Washington. And Bill, you are coming in from where again, please?
Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. Great. So Bill's going to be presenting to you information about the EVO series. If you haven't already done so, please find the Q&A feature on Zoom and let us know where you're coming from and who you're with. We'll be using the Q&A feature to ask questions. I'll be moderating today's talk. And Bill, I think maybe start with a quick introduction about yourself and then Franklin, then let's kind of jump right in and do it.
Sure. So again, my name is Bill Gockman. I'm the Senior Global Product Manager for Franklin Electric Fueling Systems, primarily focused on the FMS fuel management system product line. So that includes everything from the tank gauges, probes and sensors, and other miscellaneous items that would be found kind of within that regulation and data collection category within fueling systems. Today we're going to cover really what EVO, our automatic tank gauge, what it can do to provide more information, really streamline the C-store operations. That's the title of this. We wanted to kind of highlight that the EVO does more than just report on how much product is in the tank and compliancy reports. So the focus of this presentation is really just to show everyone what else EVO can do and how it can help C-store operators, and then really how easy it is to navigate through the EVO and kind of picking where you want, what information you want and how to get to it.
Great. Let's dive right in.
Yeah. So about us, we are Franklin Electric Fueling Systems. So a larger parent corporation is Franklin Electric, based out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Fueling Systems division has been in Madison, Wisconsin, for many years, and we do focus primarily on what started with fueling pumps, but has really kind of spread into a total system solution. So the image that you see here on the screen really highlights a lot of the areas within the C-store operation and fueling itself. We are expanding into EV, which is up in the right-hand corner there. But primarily what we're looking at, submersible pumping, service station hardware, pipe and containment. You can kind of see everything that's on the screen here. This is really what we offer, from Franklin's perspective. We want to be a complete line, or we are a complete line of fueling equipment products. And our goal here really is to really manage that critical asset, protect human health and the environment while looking at a lowest total cost of ownership. So a lot of the things that we develop really stem from customers and what their requests are. So if there's a need or if there's an issue, that's where we focus, and we want to help everyone with that. The big part of this is that lower total cost of ownership, right? So how can we make things more affordable and manageable for the C-store owner? And that really kind of goes into the next slide of, we're looking at direct store operating expenses. They've grown 15% over 2021 between January and October. So we're seeing, continued increases in costs, and really one that kind of jumps right out at you. This big one is expenses have grown by over 40% since January of 2019. So pre-COVID, and then kind of everything that's come out of it, things are not getting cheaper, right? They're getting more difficult to manage not only the C-stores, but even employees, customers. There's costs are everywhere, and especially when it comes to fuel and in gas stations, that's, I think, the first place most of us, really feel those effects. So we're well aware of this, and we want to help the C-store owners and operators really start to take a look at some of those costs, either in the short term, things kind of affect them every day, but then also put in some long-term planning, preventative maintenance, if you will. kind of getting ahead of things, keeping those costs down. That really is, a big focus, not only for us at Franklin, but what we want to provide our customers. So the challenge here is, really lack of available workers, right? Getting people back to work, post COVID. Labor costs are going up. The inflation of the products, right? We mentioned that costs have been rising, not only just operationally, but just what we need to put on the shelves to sell. Maintenance and service is getting more expensive. People's time is important, right? So whether that be, a maintenance or a service call, they're looking to increase their revenues as well. And then, bottom line, energy costs are not getting any cheaper, whether it be the fuel we're putting in our cars or the electricity we're using to run our stations in our homes. So the solution that we want to really approach here is, you have to have a tank gauge on site already. So that technology is already in all of the C-store locations. So what we want to do is, how else can we use that on-site technology that everyone has to continue to optimize your staffing levels, reduce your maintenance costs, and really automate the operation so that people can focus their work on other areas. So they're not always just so concerned about what's happening, either in the forecourt. Let the machine do the work. Let the tank gauge be the tank gauge, and beyond that. One of the things that we like to highlight is we want to do more with our EVO series. It is a tank gauge, but on this slide, I kind of highlight here, we don't want to refer to it as just an ATG or a tank gauge. EVO can do so much more. It's really powerful. It's easy to use. It's innovative in its design, and really just how it can make the maintenance and control of C-stores that much easier, as well as reporting if there's anything that we need to do for regulators or anybody that's coming in. It's not a difficult system to use. It's pretty simple and intuitive, and that's a lot of what we want to kind of cover this afternoon, is just diving into, not deep diving, but at least kind of getting into some of the things that EVO can do. There's a lot, and I could probably spend more than the hour that we have here to talk about it, but highlighting the EVO series and showing how we can do more with it. And that's really what we want to do. Is it's more than a tank gauge. You'll hear us kind of not referring to it as one of those. That's kind of our goal, is to show it does more than just, tells you how much product is in the forecourt.
Bill, can I put in a quick plug here? I'm when I shot a EVO 550 video series with you a couple of years ago, I was not really familiar with the 550, and I was working with your sales guy, and he wanted to kind of explain. I said, let me just kind of figure this thing out here. And really, I mean, within 5 minutes, it's like, oh, easy, right? I mean, within 5 minutes, going into a tank monitor cold, knowing, basically what they do, but within 5 minutes, I found the navigational layout to be super intuitive. And again, coming into a cold, I was able to figure it out in 5 minutes. So good on Franklin.
Thank you. And that's you mentioned the 550. So that is actually our older models of tank gauges, and that's really a good segue into the next slide. So, we're looking at the right solution for your sites. And what we have here is the EVO 600 and 6000. Those are our larger, full-featured versions of the EVO. There's a lot of advanced features that you can put into this that really go into more than just that forecourt management, right? And then the 200 and 400 on the other side of the screen, really small to mid-size operations. The expandability isn't there like you have with the 600 and 6000. They're kind of preset, and they're designed for, like I said, those smaller to mid-size operations. They're going to give you all the functionality that you'll have within the screens, and what we'll kind of talk about in a minute here with the interface. But really just kind of there's the expandability is over on the 600 and 6000 side. That's really where as you continue to add more features into your C-store and monitoring capabilities, that's where you're going to want to fall.
Is it? I know, like, some people on the line today, we have like emergency power generator tank operators. We have, I think there's like a marina person online today. So is it fair to say, in general terms, for a full court convenience store, probably the 600 6000 series is maybe more applicable, and for maybe a couple of tanks or maybe a non-retail site, the 200 and 400 is probably a better fit?
Generally, yes, I would say that would be accurate. Again, if there's more things that they want to do at some of these other sites.
Okay.
The 600 might be a better fit if we're getting into more, if you want to know more than just how much is in your tank. So if they're doing more at
Right.
these marinas, where they want to check lines and look for line leak, you'd probably want to go into that 600, 6,000, just depending on how many, sensors and devices you're going to connect to it. It's really the expandability that you have within it. So if you're looking to add more, 600. If you really want to just stay focused on just a few, few components, 200, 400 would be your fit.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm. So all of the models, whether it be the 2, the 4, or the 600, 6,000, they all have this user-friendly interface. And this is really, as you just kind of mentioned, that learning piece of it, right? It becomes really easy. It's icon based. So it's very similar to what we're all using kind of with smartphones, where we have those little smaller pictures that'll kind of take you into what we even call apps on our end. It's really how we're going to navigate throughout the EVO. So when you go up to the EVO and you approach the monitor, you're simply going to start by touching the screen and working through it, kind of very similar, like I said, to the way that you use your smartphone. We've developed a quick jump menu that'll take you from one area to the other. So if you're looking at your tanks and then you want to check out your sensors, you don't have to go all the way back to a home screen. You can actually pull down the quick jump menu and go right into the next area that you're looking to get into. That would include reporting, compliances, anything that might be of interest. You can do that through those quick jump menus. And then what's really nice is it's customizable, not only from what you add to it, but how you add it, right? So we've got this ability where you can change the colors. So you can make each tank recognizable or keep them all the same, or, you make your DefAd blue tank blue, and, just to kind of separate things and make it a little bit more interactive. That's also customizable in here. So not only the options of what you're looking at and how you're looking at it, but really just that color scheme within it. And this is where I want to kind of test my limit of technology and jump over to another screen, because I want to show you, we do have an interactive feature here. Here we go. All right, so you should be seeing a large, what looked like an EVO screen. Is that correct? Let's see.
There we go.
Okay.
Right.
So this would be what that touch screen looks like when you kind of approach it. So what's on here are already these quick access buttons. So there's up to 6 of them. What you see here is not what they are. You can program these to be whatever you want them. So we have reports kind of popped up in this example, but if you wanted to see tanks on here, you could do a quick jump to your tanks. The quick access menu, the quick jump menu is right up here. So this will kind of show you the tanks, manifold, sensors, pumps, compliance. So if you wanted to get to that report, you would just simply click here. If we want to view tanks, it'll then kind of show you what your setup is. So regular, unleaded, 1, 2, premium. They're all kind of here on the screen. This little icon here shows that these 2 tanks, they're basically connected through our TPI, which we'll talk about a little bit later. This allows you to group 2 tanks together so that they kind of control and work with each other. So if you want to, use half of it out of one tank and then switch over to the other tank and drain it down, or use that, TPI will allow you to do that. That's what that little icon connects. But we can even go into it and look at the volumes that we have in here. So what's our gross, our net, temperature, max capacity. You kind of set all this stuff up when you put the tanks into the EVO. And what's really nice too, if we go back out to like our report picture, we can look at inventory, and then from there you can see other inventory reports. So it's all, quick access. And if you ever want to return home to those 6 buttons, it's right back there again. So this is really just a quick overview. Like I said, it's an interactive demo that we have on our website. If you go through the product section, you can find it. But what I like about it is it really does show you how easy it is to just bounce around. So that was applications. System in here gets you into the configuration. So if you're going to add a new tank or a new sensor, that's where that would be done. There's also tools in here where you can calibrate the touch screen. And as always, back, home, print, pretty simple and easy to use and kind of navigate around throughout it. So this demo is, it's restrictive, but it does give you a good idea of kind of what happens on that EVO screen.
Bill, we have a number of inspectors on the line today. What assurance can you give them? Some inspectors don't like to play with the tank monitor. They don't want to mess it up before they leave. What assurance? Because I notice I'm assuming there's like a security lockout on the on like the system setting, the systems feature, correct?
There is, and actually one of the nice features that we have in here is we have user-based roles that you can establish. And there's even one where if you approach the EVO, you can log into it without a password or a username, which is primarily to get access into the reportings quick and easy. So they're not going to be able to change any of the features. They can't turn any of the pumps off or do any of that. It's going to give them access to really what the user wants them to have access to. So if it is a regulator or an inspector and all they're interested in is the report, they can log into that anonymous user and it's going to have that reporting feature and they'll be able to print the report out and go about their day. If a manager or a store owner happens to be there and they do log in, again, it's just using those really simple quick jump navigation menu to get you into the reporting feature. And then in there, it'll have the reports that you're looking for to print out, which, as we jump it through here, this is that compliance monitoring, right? So it is a part where you can get in here and get those regulatory reports really easy. Same thing with inventory management. That's what the tank gauge does at its base. Manage those fuel level inventories, supply, kind of getting ahead of any runouts, manage your notifications. All of that's customizable and set up through conditions and configuration within the EVO as to what report do I want, when do I want to be alerted if there's something that's happening. You can set all that up. Again, really easy to kind of navigate through it. Even leak detection here, as we've kind of shown it, you'll get a status like where you're at on the lines. What's the pressure? Where are we at? Are there any potential problems? All of this would then be included in your alerts and reports that you would have access to. Setting up conditions within those to send me an email or send me a text. Like it's all interactive with how the EVO is connected to your network and how you want to receive that info, and even who. If there's ever any issues, you can have that email go out to not only the store owner or store manager, but even someone that might be coming in to do the service or perform service. They'll know ahead of time exactly what the errors are before they even get there. All of it set up throughout the conditions in the EVO, and it's really easy to program. Some of the other capabilities, as we kind of highlighted here, really obviously tank gauge, right? But we've got that remote communication. So each EVO will allow you to connect through the FFS Pro website. It's a web interface, which if you're not in front of the EVO, you can actually go ahead and make these changes or print reports, email reports from a laptop, from a phone, from a tablet, whatever it is that has internet connection. It can get you to that web address. You'll have access to the EVO, again, with the right password and the right administrative features that are set up within it. I mentioned quickly TPI, that turbine pump interface. It lets the EVO essentially talk to, through our controllers to talk to the pump to help it manage the tanks, whether that be tank leveling, priorities of tanks. You can set that up in there as well. It's again, really easy feature. Lets the EVO control what's happening instead of having someone monitor it individually. That's I think a big takeaway on that one. Reconciliation's available, as well as the tank auto calibration. So once you kind of have that reconciliation set up, the tank auto calibration feature is really great to help manage that inventory. Things can happen to that tank when it's in the ground, either through installation or pressure or stress. This auto cal feature will give you an accurate reading of truly how much space you have available, and it's all hands off. It's pre-programmed. It's a really nice feature to have. Electronic line leak detection is also in here. 606,000 is where you'll find that, but that connects to other products that we have, as well as the DEF-AD blue recirculation. It'll monitor the temperature. So if it gets too cold or it's going to get too cold, it'll circulate the DEF-AD blue around so it doesn't end up freezing and causing other conditions or other problems within those tanks. So all of this stuff is just, it's included in the EVO. It's a feature that kind of takes that thought process away. It's one less thing that someone has to worry about when they're worrying about what's going on in the C-store. So that's what EVO you're kind of on the top of the surface can do, but what else can it do? You know, we talked about how are we going to save costs and how are we going to, you know, really think long term about prevention and maintenance and making it easier for the operators to, you know, really kind of get ahead of these things. First thing, you know, really looking at corrosion prevention, especially within diesel tanks, but then also in the sumps as well. We have a corrosion prevention system that works with EVO. You can see here the EVO screen is showing what we have inside of our corrosion control system. It's a water separator. This is telling you how much water is actually in that unit, not only on the EVO, but then also a quick snapshot of what it might look like on your phone if you were connected through FFS Pro Connect. And what's really nice is there's an alarm that'll kind of pop down. So that same pop-up that you get when you get a text message or an alert from an app on your phone, it's going to tell you, hey, there's a new alarm that's occurred. It's going to tell you diesel number 2, there's corrosion that's been detected. So you can go into it and then see where that's at. In this case, we're looking at the corrosion sensor has an alarm going off. So it's notifying you real time of what's happening. This really gets us in front of that costly maintenance equipment replacement cost. It does get into the point of prevention, which is key here, because you really don't want to have to go down that road of having to replace an entire tank due to corrosion. This system's going to help out with that. And that whole system we do have packaged up in here, which is our corrosion control system. So you can see we've got a little schematic there of a tank sump. It starts with the water separator. This is going to pull water off the bottom of the tanks, and it's going to put it inside of this tube. We do have a float sensor in there that will tell you how much water is in there. It'll actually recycle this automatically or look for water in the tank after every delivery, and then usually overnight. Again, that's something that's programmed through the EVO, so if you want to do it more often, you can. It also includes our low-level water float, which also reports back to the EVO. This goes down to about 1/4 of an inch of water versus the standard 3/4 of an inch. So that's a nice, you get that really early detection if there is water developing. Inside the sump itself, we have a desiccant pack as well as a sensor that it connects to. So the desiccant pack is there to really pull moisture out of the environment within that tank sump. But what the sensor is going to tell you is when it's time to change that pack. So it's kind of, you set it in the sump, you close the lid. You shouldn't have to go back in there and look at that desiccant pack and see if it's full or not, because the sensor will actually tell you based on the weight of the desiccant bag, and that reports back to the EVO. So that's another one of those additional sensors that you can connect to it. We also have a corrosion detection sensor that lives in the ullage space inside of the tank. So what this is looking for, it's basically detecting if there is a corrosive environment or appears to be a corrosive environment through monitoring this sensor. If it detects a system or a corrosive environment, it's going to alert the user. Now it's saying that it should be there, like it's present. It's possible that it's there. So you might have to do some other investigating into it, like is there water in the tank and what are we looking at? But this sensor is at least going to set you off early before something might occur. And then also advanced protection on the pump. So this is an extra layer of protection within the sump that really prevents that corrosion from forming. And what I like on this whole thing is the multiplexer. So if you're adding all of these sensors into your sump and you're putting in, the water separator, and you've got a probe coming off of that, one of the things we want to, again, saving costs. We don't want you to have to break concrete to do all this installation to prevent your corrosion. That's where the multiplexer comes in. It uses the existing wire that's already in your sump and allows you to connect multiple units into the hub, and then you just have that one wire of communication going back out to the EVO. So it makes installing this system really easy. You think about the cost of having to replace the tank after the corrosion is hit and the amount of work that needs to go into cleaning tanks and that upkeep and maintenance. That's where this system really comes into play. It prevents a lot of those long-term costs that you have to get involved in when corrosion does present itself.
Super cool.
Yeah, oh, it really is. We've got some test cases on it and case studies of sites that have put it in. The team that does a lot of the corrosion control could probably talk to you for a couple hours about that system as well. So yeah, there's a lot of different things we can talk about.
No, corrosion people are like that.
Yeah. Here we're talking about that pump monitoring. So I kind of mentioned the TPI or turbine pump interface. We're really going to be able to see what's happening to those fueling systems. If they go offline for some reason, this will help you kind of bring them online, back online quicker, avoid long downtime. Anytime we're down, we're not making money, it's costing us. So this will at least help you troubleshoot, and then look to try and prevent maintenance calls. Those can also be very expensive. So not only are you down, you're not making money at the pump, but now you've got a large expense because somebody's got to drive a few hours to come out and take a look, and just let kind of what's happening. You might know ahead of time before they get there. Also you're looking at preventing dry runs, overfills, water actually getting into a vehicle. So if you happen to have a lot of water that is filling up at the bottom of a tank, this will shut that off before it allows that water to enter into the system. I said that's
and Bill, I remember some years ago there was a study that said every day your pump is down, your dispensers are down, it actually takes 2 days to recover your traffic flow. So there's like a 2-to-1 relationship there. So any downtime does have has a ripple effect on the customers at your site.
Yeah, no, absolutely, you're right, because they're going to remember that pump wasn't working.
Exactly.
And the next time they need to get gas, they're going someplace else. So yeah, this is it's all about that prevention and getting in front of it. So this just really quickly an overview of our TPI system. As I mentioned, pump in the water, automation. So if it does detect it there, it's going to shut that pump off. This is where you get into your tank leveling. So you use that Guardian controller to have the EVO talk to the pump and the tanks that you have in priority and balancing between both of them. The one that I like is the clogged pump escalation. So like it happens, sometimes a rag might get dropped into a tank, or there might be something down at the bottom. Well, this, instead of just shutting it down and saying it's clogged, it's actually going to kind of run through an automated reset. So it's going to try and clear the clog and then turn itself back on or blow away that rag that might be down there. But if it runs through this test a couple of times and it still knows that there's a problem, that's when it's going to shut the system down and send you that alarm. So rather than just immediately shutting it off, it's going to kind of run itself through this little situation where it's going to try and clear that out. What's nice about that is you will get an alert in the history report that's going to tell you that the EVO initiated this clogged pump escalation. So you can there might be something that I need to maybe address at some point in time. And then remote pump interaction. So if you have that access through FFS Pro Connect, you have a way to interact not only through the EVO face to face, but offsite or actually from outside in the forecourt, you can interact with the pumps there. So only one person has to be in there. They can be right next to it to see if it's turning on or off, instead of having someone in a building, all right, I turned it off, and hollering back and forth. So it's really it makes just interacting with the pumps that much easier to handle for anyone that's out there. Fuel flow rate monitoring, okay, another feature within the EVO. You can take a look and see how quickly things are moving along. So we're going to really impact that throughput. You're going to know when and where you have a slow flow, kind of help you diagnose what's happening in there. We're going to go back to the customer and what they're going to remember about their last experience. If they've got a really slow fill, they're going to remember this is a slow station. I don't like this place, but now you'll be ahead of that. At least like you can get that flow rate report. And then also if you see a reduction in flow, it's probably a good chance that you're going to need to change something, a filter or something, do some maintenance, kind of catch those problems a little early. So our flow rate monitoring system is again going to put that proactive piece in motion to allow you to get in front of any problems that might cause you downtime and expensive repairs.
And Bill, in my world, slow flow could be a mechanical leak detector is tripped and you've discovered a 3-gallon-per-hour leak. But mechanical leak detectors don't talk to tank monitors. Is there a way to tie those two together? Maybe in the future, because in my world, it's probably a clogged filter, but there could be. I keep on going back to this local gas station every time it's in slow flow. And the next time I go, I'm going to go talk to them and saying, you might want to kind of check this thing out here. So this might not be the conversation for that, but I always like to remind people that slow flow, you want to kind of pay particular attention to, because it could be your mechanical leak detector is tripped.
Yeah, and that's so the history that you see here. I mean, we have an alarm occurrence. Like, so we're looking at the iPhone, it's sending that little bit of information that says, hey, you have a slow flow detected. So setting those parameters up on what you're looking for. So if there is a leak or you're
Interesting.
noticing that, it'll alert you. Again, I'm really kind of highlighting what each of these features does, but
Sure.
you can get into it to set this up to have them give you these alerts when you reach a certain threshold or you drop below a certain point. That they're conditional alerts and alarms. So you can change that however you want to see
Yeah.
it. We're gonna give you a default, but if you want to know, hey, if the flow is out of the average, I need to know about it right away. It'll
Yeah.
show you, and certainly put it into alarm or whatever it might be. That's where being aware of these reports and knowing what the EVO can do for you, it gets you in front of a lot of this stuff. You don't want it to be, a detrimental leak, right? You want to
Sure.
catch this sooner.
Yeah.
Or even if you've got to go in there and fix something within the dispenser itself that might speed up the flow. That's where this information comes from.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to think you'd use a tank monitor to infer a leak that has historically it's not been able to do. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
One other one that we've got here, so fuel theft detection. This is really, there's going to be an alert or an alarm. Like, you can monitor the sales data from the dispensers and compare it to tank volume changes. So you can set up an alert to tell you that, hey, you X amount has flowed through, but you've seen a larger drop inside of the tank, and that's where it's kind of going to throw up that red flag to say there might be something wrong here. If you're closed and you start the day and you take a look at your tank levels as to where they were at the end of the night, if there's a large difference, you can detect a theft. It's really, again, kind of looking at the data that the tank gauge is gathering, throughout the day and overnight, and comparing it to what's happening, either in real time or when it's coming back on. The last note that's here is, look how long that dispenser is on. If it's been on for an excessive amount of time, there might be something kind of going on there. And that's where we talk about detection. It's not a prevention method yet, but we're looking at ways we can work on that. Always making improvements with the products that we have. So we want to highlight it's a detection method. If you've noticed, there's been some changes in fuel volume in the tanks. You can go back to your cameras at that point and target the time frame of when you need to look for it, maybe catch a license plate, something along those lines. But the data is there, the features are there, and it's a benefit for those C-store owners again.
Yeah.
And then, really kind of bringing this all the way around, it's that operation. It's simple. The one-touch buttons help everyone carry really complex multifunction processes really to just a one-touch button. You don't have to toggle through multiple screens. If you want to get to something, you can set it up right here in the one-touch button. Routine tasks for those on-store personnel, they don't have to be in the back room in front of the EVO, taking minutes really to kind of find their way through to what they need. It's one touch and then back out on the floor where they're going to really interact with your customers and do more than printing reports off in the back room. Again, complex compliance testing and report generation, it's a one-touch button. You can get through it through reports, or you set up that quick, one-touch customizable button on that main screen. And then any fuel system corrective actions, that can also be in here on the event of alarm. So you'll see the alarm actually on the screen, and then you can immediately come in. So that bottom box that you see there, right here, it says all systems are normal. If there was anything ever in an alarm, it would show here, and you simply hit that bottom button and it'll take you right into the alarm report section and tell you what's wrong. So you don't have to kind of go through it and try and find it, like, where's my alarm at? That'll take you right to it. It's simple, it's quick, it's easy. The report piece, again, just if anyone's coming in to print off the reports, it's usually one or two pushes of a button. The monthly reports, the annual reports, they're easy to print off if you need them. What's also nice is that you can have those emailed, PDF or an HTML format. So, I know, a lot of people like the ticker tape and like to sit there and watch it print out. But if you don't have the time for it and you want to get an email, you can set that up to have it emailed as well. So the features are really beneficial to make things as easy as possible. There's more opportunities for your employees to be elsewhere, to make more money, to help drive down costs, which is kind of going into the next slide. I want to set it up really quick before I flip through it. So at Franklin, we're always looking for ways to help customers. We rely a lot on our voice of customer experiences. Any problems that anybody might have, that's kind of sets us in the direction and sets my team in the direction of what new products can we come up with. So we've heard from a couple of our customers, are there other ways that we could help monitor other parts of the C-store, not necessarily at the forecourt. So one of the things that we've actually developed is we've figured out a way to monitor car wash chemicals remotely.
Oh.
No one has to go out now, leave the C-store, make a manual site inspection of those car wash chemicals. We've really used the technology that we already have, really some ingenuity from our engineers to come up with a way for us to monitor car wash chemicals in a real-time environment. It's going to set up exactly the same way tanks operate in the forecourt. It uses the same FFS Pro Connect, so you can see that there to look at the containers that we have, and it's accurate. It's immediate information. You can get forecasting to tell you runtime, so it knows on a daily average usage how much you're using and when you're going to run out, so that you can contact your supplier and tell them, hey, I need you to come and make a delivery, and tell them exactly what it is, so they don't have to come out multiple times either. So you keep that room closed. You continue to drive profits, through your car wash, and have a really good idea of what's happening from a chemical perspective. And this was, like I said, from a customer request, like, is it something that you can do? And we said, yeah, we can figure it out. So we're really excited about this. We had this at PEI last year in the fall, and we'll be it's launching this week, so it'll be out there soon.
Bill, quick question from someone. What series of EVO do you need to do this? Can you use the smaller ones, or you need the full 600, 6,000?
On the car wash piece?
Correct.
Yeah, that's it's actually right now it's a standalone feature that we have. So it uses the EVO technology.
I see.
So yeah, in its initial phase, standalone, but we'll be adding more features and functionality that the EVO will help drive, and can really connect it through to make it a fully connected C-store maintenance site.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah. So, again, I kind of touched on a lot of topics as quickly as possible, and we have a new C-store operation quick reference guide. So I'll leave this up. This is the last slide that I have. So if anyone wants to scan that QR code, they'll be able to download that, but it'll go into more detail on a lot of what I've already talked to you about, and even get into some more features that we haven't launched yet, but are in the process of developing, and they'll be out soon. So we're continuing to evolve EVO, add in more features and benefits to drive down costs, really step up the preventative methods that every C-store operator should have. So this operations guide is going to go into more detail on what I talked about, as well as kind of touch on some of those things. So I mentioned, theft detection. We're looking at theft prevention in the future, more benefits within car wash, other ways to monitor things inside of the C-store, working with POS systems, and it's endless. The EVO has a lot of power. It can do a lot more than just tell you fluid levels and generating reports, and that's really what we want to highlight. If you're ever at the point of looking to either open up a new site, or remodel, reconfigure, or really put something new on the wall, there's a lot that EVO can do.
That's great, Bill. Question for me. So the Franklin app, whereby you use to monitor liquid levels remotely from your phone and all the alarm stuff, is there a demo version of that? In other words, if I download the app, do I have to have a site to attach to, or is there like I'm thinking about myself as a trainer, or for some of the inspectors out there want to kind of become familiar with the functionality. Is there Is there like a demo version of the app that we can use, or does it have to be assigned to a real live site?
I will get back to you on that so you can provide that information out there. I know that if you use FFS Pro Connect to connect into an EVO, it's usually a web address. So as
Okay.
long as you have a cell signal or a Wi-Fi signal, you type in the web address or save it to your bookmarks, and it'll open up
I
what you
see.
want to look at. So
Okay.
as far as a demo one though, let me get back to you on that. I don't know why we wouldn't, but I'm not aware of it off the top of my head.
Okay, great. And then Paul from Montana asked, do compliance and annual function when doing compliance and annual functionality testing, is there a way to do it with an EVO without shutting down the site? I actually don't know the answer to that. So in other words, you have to shut down operations when you do your annual ATG certification, or is there a way around that?
I I have an answer. I don't want to say it, but I will let's get back to Paul on that.
Okay.
I don't believe that for the annual testing that you would have to do it. But I want to confirm it before I say anything to Paul. But I do understand the concern.
Yeah, I hadn't really, because when we in the spirit of downtime, I mean, I want to make sure the tank gauge is working properly, that the certification is done correctly. In my mind, it makes sense. You would have to at least pause operations a little bit, but that conflicts with business efficiency. I'd like to know the answer to that. Brett Smith from Montana, can a regulator email environmental reports to their email account while they're on site doing an inspection, or does that require setup? So I think he's asking, can the EVO shoot the inspector an email with the reports?
Through the conditions, they would be able to set that up. So someone may have to do that ahead of time, or if you have a manager on site, you can drop in and put the email address in there and get that report sent out to them while they're there. So
Okay.
it is doable, yes.
Okay, and then Andrew Knapp, who's also with Franklin, has a link on the Q&A section. After this email, I'll send everyone a copy of that. There is an interactive Connect demo apparently, so thank you for that.
Andrew.
And then got Paul Townsend's email of Paul and Bill. You can connect afterwards. Any questions from our 82 attendees joining us today? This was really informative. I appreciate. I mean, I came in initially wanted to talk about tank gauges, but liking to think in a whole ecosystem kind of thought here. This has been super helpful. But please, any questions? Please use the Q&A box on Zoom and ask Bill a question, please.
Yeah, and I'll just obviously, Ben, thank you very much for the time, and also everyone for joining us as well. If there are any questions, reach out to me. My email, I think, is out there. If not, it's really easy. It's bill.gockman@franklinfueling.com. If I don't know the answer, I will get it to you from the many people that we have here that are very helpful. From my team to the tech services team to our field service team, everybody is willing to help. And if we don't know the answer, someone will, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. Really, customer satisfaction is what we strive to attain, and really we couldn't do a lot of what we do without hearing from our customers. So it's greatly appreciated, and really just glad to be in front of you, Ben, and everyone else that's out there. There's a lot of things we can talk about, and I really hope that we do more of this. I know we've been talking about some of the things that we'd like to do. So we're really looking forward to sharing a lot more about not only what Franklin Electric and our fueling systems can do, but also EVO as well.
Great, and I'll be working with Franklin this year. We should be producing a number of more tank savvy minute videos to help operators unpack the elegantly simple solutions that Franklin has to offer. So stay tuned for that more. And if you're ever at a state, regional, or national petroleum convention trade show, stop by the Franklin booth. And also, we'll be at a number of those trade shows as well. So feel free to stop by our booth too with USTtraining.com.
Yep. And then just one other plug too, if there's any questions or anybody's looking for training, we do offer online training through our FFS Pro University, as well as in-person training that we can set up through our field service technician. So we'll come to you if you need us to, or we can do it online, or we can have you come out here to the headquarters in Madison and do live training in person. But we bring EVOs with us. We have you go through a setup. We'll teach you from beginning to end exactly how to do it and how quickly and easily it is to do with everything. So yeah, if there's any questions and you want to do more on training, let us know. we'll get back to you and set something up as quick as possible.
Great. Any more questions? Please use the Q&A feature. We've had quite an array of people from all over the country, kind of from all walks of UST life. I want to think if you're kind of a UST nerd, then you're probably in the right location. I think, but like Bill, we can talk about underground tanks all day long. I think that's all we got, Bill. I'm going to stop recording.